that the institute and its leadership and the faculty of life sciences and the faculty of pharmacy, they have accepted this challenge, and as a step forward, they decided to organize this workshop. I do feel that the kind of a hard work they have put in while trying to rope in good people like Mr. Devraj, who is really a distinguished person in the area, and foresight. And I was going through the entire schedule of the workshop. Not many other good people like Professor Giri and many more people like Professor Kohar, they have been dropped in by the faculty. So it's a matter of happiness for me and a matter of pride for me that MDU has taken this kind of a initiative. Though there were technical while Professor Devraj was delivering his inaugural lecture, many times I thought of inviting Professor Devraj to MDU. Somehow it could not materialize. Maybe this Corona crisis a kind of a boon for us that Professor Devraj agreed to be with us for this inaugural session. We have made a good beginning by his presence, and as soon as the things improve and lockdown is over and university is allowed to open with students, then surely we will request Professor Devraj, and at least we will request Professor Devraj to mentor our life science team for the activity for bringing a research orientation in our approach. So thanks, Professor Devraj.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Sparing your valuable time, and I must compliment our institute, its director, and the entire team, our Dean Life Sciences, our Dean Research, Professor Chiller, Dean Life Sciences, this Puspadaia, and Dean Pharmaceutical Science, Professor Manish, and also the Dean Engineering, Professor Garg, for guiding this wonderful session or the wonderful workshop, the 6-day workshop. And welcome all the participants and the young researchers. And I would hope that they will be greatly benefited by this workshop. And I would request the organizer, as pointed out by Professor Devraj, that this should go with some outcome, and certainly they will be having a focused approach, and in a disciplined way, they will, as a learner, with some outcome, with tangible outcome, I would say. And again, I thank Professor Devraj. He is always there to help me, to guide me. The same day today he was with us. Thank you, Professor Devraj. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Goodbye.
Over to Professor Neena Singh and her team for declaring in a formal way the formal vote of thanks by our Director Research, Professor Chiller.
Yes. Now may I next invite Professor Anush Kumar, coordinator to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good morning, all of you. Honorable Professor Devraj, former Chairman, most respected Professor Rajneet Singh, Vice Chancellor MDU, Honorable Vice Chancellor Central Manager Professor R. Ward and respected Professor B.T. Bharti, Professor Meena Singh, Dean Academic Affairs, respected Dean, Directors, HOD, and dear participants. I have been assigned the most tedious task by Dean Ma'am of conveying the vote of thanks. First of all, I express my heartfelt gratitude to our visionary Vice Chancellor, who has taken keen interest and great initiation to organize the online workshop for our research scholar. I am grateful to our vibrant, dynamic, and energetic Dean Academic Affairs, Professor Meena Singh, who has always been on her toes to make this workshop a great success. For our upcoming research scholars, thank you, ma'am, for this deep care and concern. At the same time, I am thankful to Dean for their timely cooperation and support. I express my thanks to all directors, HODs of respective departments. My heartfelt thanks goes to dear participants who have shown great enthusiasm and interest to attend this workshop despite certain problems they might be having during this time in relation to e-resources. Thanks to Director Public Relations for their wide publicity. I extend my thanks with holding hand to CC team who has been toiling hard, giving their unending and never tiring support for providing all logistics in relation to online accessibility. Thanks to all one and again. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, let me have the privilege to introduce our keynote speaker of the day, Professor J. Swift. Sir is Professor and a distinguished microbiologist from the University of Delhi South Campus. Sir has bagged a number of awards and honors in his bag. Sir has been awarded DBT Virac Nesta Idea Phone Award for developing a web system for the detection of antimicrobial resistance in bacterial ecosystems. Sir has been awarded Y.S. Narayana Rao Innovation Award by Indian Council of Medical Research for working out the molecular epidemiology of Tia Qualifica in India in 2006. Sir has been awarded the INSA Visiting Fellowship in the year 2005 and 2006. Besides that, there was more than 27 number of the publications on his name, and Sir is the coordinator for the lab for the Department of Biotechnology, the University of Delhi. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on this platform, on this virtual platform. And now, sir will be assisting our participants on the topic research ideas. Thank you so much, sir. Over to you, ladies and sir.
Am I audible? Hello? Yes, sir, you are audible.
Ask all the participants to mute their mic as well as off their video. This will help in bringing to the audio of the speaker.
Now, may I request all the participants to please switch off their mics in the video? Most of the participants on the muted mode. Over to you, ladies, sir. This is audible now.
Yeah, actually, it's my pleasure to join this meeting. And it was very nice to hear Professor Devraj, Professor R. Bohat, and Professor Raj Mukhi during some time back. And we had a long session, very young faculty and students. And I'm very happy that we are meeting once again. And I must congratulate him and his team that have been put up this webinar on a very short notice. And now coming to my lecture for the research methodology. It's primarily first I will talk giving some very important insights which I have learned during my 4 decades of career at the University of Delhi at South Campus, managing several projects and then guiding PhD students. And then finally, I would also like that students, they come up with any kind of questions if they have any kind of queries or clarifications they want.
So the question will be taken after your team is finished. The question will be taken from the participants after your team is finished.
Yeah, then the break after that. So,
Continue to the next one. You can continue with your team.
see, I have, can you see my slides now?
Reddy sir, are you wanting to show your slides?
Yes.
So there is an option on your platform, third icon, share content,
Yes, I have done that.
onto it.
Entire screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have done that.
Now we are able to see your screen now. Now you can open your PPT.
Okay.
Press F5 so that it can start going. And one more request I would like to do.
Now just hold on. F5 I have to press.
Yes, you have to press F5.
Okay.
F5.
Yes, then.
We are not able to see. Give us a second. It will come.
Okay.
You have done F5. Then has it gone to full screen on your laptop or your PC? PowerPoint presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Then now keep your slide at some distance from you, because otherwise voice will be not audible to us at all.
Okay.
So now you can speak. I think you can come forward little.
All right.
Now audio is very clear to us.
So that means now my slides are clear. The first slide is on the screen.
Yes, sir. First slide is on the screen, and now you can continue.
All right. So let's see. See, this is we have entitled this as going for research. Enter on a firm footing. What I want to convey here is that there is a lot of information or a lot of, you can say, understanding which is already there, and if you imbibe this kind of an information, you can go on a very firm footing into your research. Let's see, you see, research is a highly lucrative profession. Why I say that it's a lucrative profession? You take it from any part of view, from the employment prospects, in terms of the professional growth, in terms of the challenges or innovation. That's what Professor Rajveer Singh was mentioning. Salary and financial prospects are not bad. research also has a social prestige. You can always contribute to the body of the knowledge and for the societal improvement. See, the working environment or the ambience, wherever you do research, is generally considered to be very good. Whether these are some university laboratories, research laboratories, defense laboratories, pharmaceutical laboratories, more or less, we would say the environment is very good. So that means almost you have everything. So that is why research, I have used the word very lucrative profession. Let's see what are the entry points for the research. We have in fact two levels for the entry into this profession. One is at the PhD level, when you are just starting your PhD program. This is usually after the master degree program. Of course, we know that sometimes this starts even at the master's level in several engineering colleges or even in some of the conventional universities also. We are preferring to start research right at the master's level, and then the students enter into PhD level. Many universities are offering integrated programs of the master's and the PhD, where they start in a master's degree program, do along with their coursework, and pick up their research topics and go further to complete their PhD or research program. The second level of entry is at the professional level. See, this professional level is when you are really entering into a profession per se. Again, there are a variety of ways in which you can enter it. Maybe as an academician. When I say academician, I primarily mean that it is a amalgamation of research, teaching, administration. As a scientist, when I say scientist, that means primarily your job or your occupation at that time is primarily research. Then it would also be as a research and a development professional. Why I use this as separately is because there are many research domains where this is intimately, research is intimately linked with the development of certain products, like industry, any kind of an industry, defense, for example, pharmaceutical, for example, instrumentation, where research is very intimately linked to the development of some kind of new products. Then, of course, the analytics professionals, where they have to analyze a large amount of the data, using a variety of tools, collect a large amount of the data, analyze them, and this could be again in a variety of domains like economics, political science, global health, media, print, audio, visual, so a variety of them. All these areas, they have gone at a level where a huge amount of information is being generated, and it's only the researchers who analyze this kind of information. They come out with the tangible inferences which can be applied further. Now, today what we are going to talk is primarily the research which is starting research at this level, that means at the PhD level. As far as entering into a professional career in research is slightly, there are certain additional things which probably would not be discussed here. Here we are mainly concerned with the pros and cons of the research here. Hello? Hello?
प्रोफेसर विरदी, आप एक बार अपने माइक को म्यूट करके अनम्यूट कर लें
All right.
और थोड़ा अपने आप को दूर रखें माइक से, थोड़ा
All
डिस्टेंस लें।
right. Is it better now?
हाँ, यस।
All right. All right. Now, see, one of the first, when you enter, is it okay or do I need to do something else?
Proceed, I think it's okay now.
All right, all right. See, choice of the subject is very important. Choice of the subject or topic is very important. See, in this case, we go by the thumb rule and we say that you decide about your subject or your topic based on your interest or your passion or something which excites you. Because we are going to talk about a profession or about 4 or 5 years of your PhD program, which will need a lot of time, hard work, and a lot of inputs from you. So we want that it's only your subject of your interest, something about which you are passionate, that you devote your time to. And it is quite possible in majority of the cases, we have seen that it will result into a lifelong career. So that is why we give, we take your passion or interest in a particular subject as the main criteria behind the selection of the subject or the topic. Now, however, besides that, there are certain other criteria to be taken care. Another one of them is how topical, current, or how state of the art the subject is. I mean, the subject which you have selected for your research, how topical it is, how state of the art it is, how current it is. Because if you enter into an area which is an old-fashioned and probably has lost its peak, I do not think, you will be enjoy research the way you can enjoy an area which is the current, you can say, active area of research. Of course, to some extent, it will also depend upon access to the subject in which you are interested. So that means you have to remember that there is a lot of trade-off between these requirements. Okay, you will have to weigh all the options about your passion, excitement, facilities available, the type of the subjects you are getting into it, whether it is available nearby or not, or whether you have to change your place to go to another town, maybe to go to another country. So that depends. So that kind of a trade-off is always there. So what is the final decision? The final decision is, how do you decide? The decision is taken that settle for the best. That means after considering all these considerations, whatever you can get the best, take the best and join the best or the closest or the nearest best. That's the final word in terms of selecting a subject for your further work, which may, or rather I would say, generally results into your lifelong career. Let's see. Once you enter the lab, there is a possibility one. What are the possibilities? Possibility one, all or major part of your research work is dictated by your laboratory supervisor. What I mean to say here is that the supervisor is following a particular type of research. he knows a lot about his subject, and he has already chalked out a plan of carrying his work in a particular direction. They are trying to answer certain questions, they are trying to accomplish certain objectives. So you will see that you probably will be following his instructions to carry out the research. That is one possibility. There is a possibility number two. Possibility number two is, and that possibility two is more probable. What is that possibility? The possibility is that 50 to 70% of your research work is dictated by the lab supervisor. However, we have seen that there is always from 50 to 30% of leeway to incorporate your ideas. So that means if somehow you have missed in selection of your subject, some of your passionate ideas, it is here in this 50 to 30%. There you can incorporate your ideas, your passion, excitement, etc. so that you make the best of whatever is available, but at the same time, you also do something you always wanted to do and make that as your career. Of course, on the lighter side, there may be certain supervisor who may give you 100% kind of a leeway to do any kind of research. Well, they will give you a broad area. Well, of course, there you have let your imagination just run wild and do any kind of a research you do at any level you want to do. I mean, in terms of you can pitch it at any higher level, depending upon whatever you can do and incorporate all your ideas, passion, excitement, and make a career entirely based on something which you have been aspiring for. So let's see. Once you have entered your lab, what do? Building your knowledge of the subject, your understanding of the subject, which is we generally call as review of literature. How do we go about this? One of the first things you do is identify 4 to 5 important keywords. It's very important what keywords you select. It should be such, these keywords should be such that they represent the whole gamut of your research. They address all the facets of your research so that nothing related to your work or something which you want to work is left out. So then you search literature using PubMed. I have taken the example of the PubMed here because this is one of the most commonly used and one of the best search engines used by the scientists or researchers in the biological areas, depending upon whether you are from social sciences or you are from engineering sciences. You have a variety of other search engines available and you can use that. Keep a meticulous record of the articles you are reviewing. Please do not go ahead just reading the articles, leaving there on the laptop, or just leaving just for the, you can say, satisfying your knowledge in a very haphazard manner. Don't do that, because you have already entered into your PhD and you would not like any of this time which you are using to be wasted. You want that all this time should be utilized for the production of the final product. That means your publication, thesis, your prototype, or whatever it is. Now, while you are doing this kind of a thing, reviewing the articles, building your knowledge, clearing your doubts, keep on slowly building the bibliography. Please note that this bibliography is not to be paid at the end, which many of the students do. No, it has to be done right at this stage. At this stage, when you are reading this article, use some kind of professional services like EndNote, Mendeley, a variety of others, and nicely keep all your literature. Follow consistently a particular style. like the API style or any other style of recording these bibliography. Why I'm saying all these things is because this is going to be used in a very, very important way. You are going to use these bibliography for your thesis. You are going to use it for your publication writing. So you don't have to spend your time again and again at the end of doing these things, redoing at the end of your research work. This is right at the start. If you build up these things properly, you can draw upon these things at a later date, and you will have a very, you can say, a good source of drawing upon any kind of references for your publications or for your research. Then make keywise, look at this, make keywise directories of the soft copies, hard copies of the research papers. Keywise, that means you can quickly, using under the one keyword, whatever copies come under, soft copies or hard copies. Hard copies, similarly, if you have 5 keywords, you will have 5 ring files to file your reprints. So that means these can be accessed at any time while you want to build up your knowledge, while you want to set up some experiments, while you want to write down your research papers, while you want to write your thesis, because these should be available very handy right on one side of your table or at one directory or one folder of your laptop or your desktop. Now, while you are doing all these things, this research is being built, please define your objectives of your research and identify the lacunae of the knowledge. Whether it could be identify the lacunae and then define the subjectives, or define the objectives and then identify the lacunae. It could be either way, because when we identify objects right in the start, even without any lacunae, your supervisor can always tell you some objectives. So with this you can start, and then you can build up lacunae, and from lacunae again to objectives you can do that. Remember, I have used only the word define. You are simply defining them. We will still have to frame them for your final research work or for your thesis work, for your publication or any other presentation. You will have to reframe them. You have to frame and reframe them and pick up the best language. So this is only defining your objectives, and these are only preliminary objectives in the whole ambit of your research. It is nothing something final. This will keep on maturing with time. During all this time when you are doing all these things, pay special attention to the methodologies used in the paper. Very, very important. Okay, familiarize yourself with the methodologies, not only with the introduction or with the results and discussion, but pay special attention to the methodologies, because you are going to use them. You are going to use them, these methodologies, at a later date in your professional life also. You are going to be quizzed by examiners, by a variety of other people who would like to recruit you, judge you on methodologies, because methodologies are not particular to a subject. They are very common, and anybody, even a person with some different background, can ask you very tricky questions about the methodologies. And then, of course, as far as methodology is concerned, if your methodologies are not right, then definitely your experiments, they are not going to be worth it. Then, while you are all doing this, you mean you are simply doing no work, no practical work in the lab? No, it's not like that. Familiarize yourself with the pearls of the lab. While you are doing all this, you cannot be doing all these things all the time. You must get into practical work immediately. Familiarize yourself with the pearls of the lab. Means what type of work is going on in the lab, what kind of facilities are available in the lab, about the people, what type of work they are doing. It is these people you start assisting them. Okay, while you are doing these things, you start assisting them in their practical work, your seniors, so that you start learning. Because after all, some of these experiments you are also going to do in future, because every lab has got a particular, you can say, a hallmark of their own laboratories, some methodology which they continue regularly, and all students, rather every student passing through that lab has to brand values type of a thing, has to use those methodologies, so you can make yourself good at those methodologies right while you have not entered into your practical research per se. Instruments, what kind of instruments are available, what kind of rules and regulations are being followed in the lab. So this is all you are doing during the initial period of your entry into the lab. Next, besides that, what else you have to do? Number one, during this period, familiarize yourself with the classical laboratory techniques. That means all the analytical techniques commonly used in the laboratory. For example, I'll just give you some example like microscopy, ultracentrifugation, DNA extraction, or some other most commonly used analytical technique. You may be doing all these things as part of your research methodology class. Number two, familiarize yourself, not necessarily whether you are using them or whether you are going to use them or not. Familiarize yourself with the new, currently popular techniques, including the popular informatics tools. Like I have just put in a few examples, depending upon what kind of discipline you belong to, whether it is a pharmaceutical discipline or it is some social science discipline or any other discipline, an engineering discipline, you can put these as per your own requirement. For example, in biological sciences, currently the race is in terms of the craze is of the next generation sequencing, transcriptome analysis, LCSM, flow cytometry. Hello. Then another very important thing, that is the statistical tools, standard deviation, standard. These again I have just put for some of your illustrative purpose, that means standard deviation, standard error of the mean, ANOVA, paired or unpaired t-test, correlation and regression. There are a variety of others. Now, all these things you are going to be doing as part of your research methodology class. Now, even if your research methodology class does not cover some of these things, and you have not covered some of these things in your master's or other classes, it is your duty to do those things at your own level, because nobody is going to ask you what kind of things you have studied in research methodology. Okay, the syllabi from one university to another university may vary. Nobody is going to ask you, but you are supposed to know some of the basic things in all these three categories. So you have to do those things on your own. For example, look at, you may not be doing any next generation sequencing or transcriptome analysis, but remember, tomorrow wherever you will go, you are going to be questioned about these things. Whether you have your research work was just limited to these laboratory techniques, but you are going to be asked this thing. They may start asking you here, but then they would like to probe your knowledge of how well you keep yourself abreast with the latest knowledge. So while working in the laboratory, always record your data. When I say data, that means your plan of the experiment, that particular experiment you are going to do, that plan, the experimental data or the raw data. That means when you are physically writing your readings, your other things from your instruments, your rough work, calculations, final inferences which you draw from all this in a hardbound, dated, squared sheet, which are page numbered in black, not hand numbered. Experiment record books, which themselves are serialized. That means be prepared that you are going to, not maybe you are going to keep this data at least in a proper form for 10 years. You may not be keeping this, but your supervisor has to keep this data as per the international recommendations. Your lab supervisor has to keep this data for the next 10 years, and then it can be destroyed. So that means all these things should be done in a very durable kind of materials, numbered, kept properly, serialized, labeled, and kept very carefully under lock and key. Next, while you are in the lab, analyze your raw data, that means whatever raw data you have got, and represent it graphically within 1 to 2 weeks. Please do not leave it at the end or for months later, because otherwise you are liable to lose subtle points. Not only subtle points, this is not considered to be a good or a professional practice in many top class laboratories of the world, that you delay your data many times. You will be surprised to see many times I have been asked by the prospective professors for my students for whom I had written certain recommendations, that what was the time between the data was recorded and the data was made into the graphs or made into the final shape. Somebody had also asked me what was the time between the work done and the time of the time that paper was published. So please be careful. Then another point, remember all instruments and consumables are to be used by other lab mates. It's not that you have used them and nobody else is going to use them further. Okay, the supervisor is spending lakhs of rupees on these and sleepless nights on these instruments. So these should be made ready, replaced for the next user in the same way or in the same state, the state in which they were used by you. Finally, laboratory is a common place. Under no circumstances, your work and your behavior become a cause of hindrance to others. Under no circumstances, please don't think lab space is your own or personal space. No, it is not. If some guests come, 3-4 guests are there, please take them out. If you cannot talk loudly, you cannot do anything which can disturb the work ambience of your laboratory. Next, when you are, so you will take a lot of time, 3 years, 4 years, doing all these things, taking care of all these things which I have mentioned. Continue to do your literature survey, listen to whatever information is coming up, keep on adding it to your knowledge, keep on rephrasing your objectives or reframing. The spirit, the essence of the objectives remains the same, but you are rephrasing them in a proper manner. Publishing your work. Research work must be published while you are still in the lab. Preferably side by side on conclusion of a set of objectives. You cannot put it for later time. It must be done because it has been seen that if it is done side by side, it is the proper time when it is published. Otherwise, it gets delayed and will always go to low impact fact journals if the same work is presented at a slightly later time. Not only that, publishing at a proper time will also take a lot of your burden off and will help you in your planning further in a much better way. No plagiarism. I think everybody knows these things. Universities, on the recommendations of the UGC, have made several guidelines and facilities made available to completely stop plagiarism. Under no circumstances you should allow any kind of a copied work to go into your publication or into your thesis. Wherever you take any kind of a material, as such, you must acknowledge from where it was taken. And of course, we know that these days universities have got a variety of things like Turnitin or other softwares are there. You have to pass through that in hard copies to be submitted. Then even self-plagiarism is to be omitted. Please familiarize yourself with all these recommendations. Very detailed documents prepared by UGC and universities are available. If I'm talking about our own country, you may go and get some of the other documents also, but they are already there from our own country. They have been made. While you are publishing your work, no to predatory journals. Predatory journals are those journals which will not do much or a proper review of your work by the experts. Many of them, they take certain money to publish these kind of things. So this is what we call as predatory journal. UGC has also issued detailed documents. There is a document on the research ethics which UGC has made, and that is what I think the Professor Devraj was also referring to. So please read that and try to follow all these things about the research ethics written in those books. You cannot feign ignorance of these rules and regulations, because these are well publicized, very well known, and we are supposed to know these things. As a researcher, we are supposed to know these things. Similarly, if you are doing research where you need to use some animals, some human subjects, ethical guidelines are to be followed. Ethical committees, you have to take the permission. Of course, I think these days the things have become so strict that you probably cannot get through, even your synopsis will not get through your own university if you have not followed the ethics guideline. So please, at least these two documents, you must familiarize yourself. Next, while in the laboratory, what else you need to take care of? Always try to see if you can attend a conference almost every alternate year or every third year. Why I'm saying every alternate year or third year is because to stagger in terms of your time, also you are unable to get funding also every year, but alternate years from different sources you can get. These days, of course, it is difficult to get even from different sources, because they have always asked you that last time funding was taken, the source of the funding they always asked. But definitely these attendance should be, participating in conferences should be on your agenda. Then attend at least one. Attend at least one or two, even if one, international conference outside India, and try to present at least one oral presentation of the work carried out by you. It has tremendous paraphernalia attached. You meet many people, you get to know how to speak, you get to know where are the lacunae in your work. You are, when you go for your recruitment, you are seen as a go-getter, all those kind of things. It has got a lot of, you can say, advantages attached to this. There are several other things which you may do while in the laboratory, while pursuing your research. For example, another thing which I can suggest you is building a team. Well, I'm not saying that you start building a team for your research work. That is for the investigators or the permanent faculty or the supervisors to build up their teams. But nobody is preventing you for forging relationship with some of your classmates and do some kind of a joint publishing, to do some kind of a joint publication. Because here again, when you interact with others, you learn, you imbibe new things. Not only that, a publication which is multi-authored is always seen as a better thing, as a better endeavor as compared to a single author. Because when we look at a multi-author paper, we always at the back of our mind, as senior investigators, we always think that a person is capable of working with others. He is able to get along with others in a multicultural environment and is able to, you can say, fit well in a research team. So a multi-author paper is seen in that sense also. So these are some of the things which you can do while you are still in the laboratory, doing your research work and becoming a seasoned researcher. Leaving the lab, very important. All data books, including any ref work, slides, cultures, prototypes, autoradiograms, films, hard copies of the reprints are the property of the laboratory. You are not supposed to carry with you any of these things. In many top laboratories of the world, you cannot be given clearance unless you submit all these things to the laboratory, because a particular lab is following a particular research line, and all these may be needed at a later date. Moreover, this is the property of the laboratory. You have not spent any money on that. It's the lab, it's the government, financial institution, the finance which have been used, the government finance which has been used to acquire these things. You cannot carry them with them. Many times they may need to be re-evaluated. So you have to submit these to the lab. So these must be well labeled. Small descriptive notes of all these items should be prepared and submitted to the laboratory supervisor. This is a must. Many times we have seen that these things are not being done, because, as I said, a laboratory supervisor who is following a particular line of research has to have this kind of a data for 10 years. It is only after 10 years that this data or material related to research can be destroyed. So I think this is probably the last slide. I have tried to discuss what I have learned or what I have been strictly following in my lab during my almost 3.5 decades of the career. And these things have paid me well, and this kind of a laboratory professionalism has paid me as well as my students very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for for giving your valuable insights on the topic going from research into non-profit. I really hope that your address will have paved the way for our research scholars to understand and perform research in a better way. Now the platform is open for the questions from the participants. If there are any questions from the participants, you can come to that. You're waiting for the questions, participants. Now you can unmute your mic one by one. You can go for the questions.
If there is one question, I can see. Hello. Hello.
Hello. See how are you?
Yeah, here I can see there is one question from Rajesh Kumar. He is asking how we can avoid payment or general subscription to download or read a paper because journals required large amounts of paper. See, the only way, one of the best to avoid this or to circumvent all this problem is to ask more institutions to go for bulk subscriptions like Science Direct. That is the only way. Otherwise, as the current situation stands, there is no way we can avoid the subscriptions of paper. If your institute can take bulk, in bulk subscriptions through the syndicated subscribers like Science Direct, that is the only way. No other way. Currently.
This is another question from Prerna Kaushik. How to avoid self-criticism when we are writing a book out of our own public space?
Yes, good. Then there is another question from Prerna Kaushik. It says how to avoid self-plagiarism when we are writing a book out of our own published paper. See, as far as quoting your own work is concerned, there is some kind of leverage is available. If the guidelines are available, that you can some percentage your own work can be put. But here again, the same thing can be written in different rephrased by different language. Only of the material is allowed to be quoted from your own work. That's the current status. Yes, anything else? I don't see any more questions.
Thank you so much, sir. And for taking out time from your busy schedule, visiting our research scholars here on this platform. I'm sure we have been getting some voice from the insights, from the valuable insights from your side. Thank you so much again, sir. And this is there.
Yes, so see, thank you very much. But there is another question.
Yes.
There is another question.
Yes, I am agreeable.
Please guide us on choosing a journal for our paper. Most of the time, I have seen that students will just start collecting some journals without much preparation or without much information. For this is that every journal, if you look, they give you very, very detailed instruction that what kind of work they accept. So for you, depending upon the type of the work you have done, you first zero down yourself to a few journals which you think are appropriate to your work, and then go to different, and they very they in a detailed manner they mention what kind of articles, length of the articles, level of the text they are accepted. So I think if you have that, if you read those things, you will probably not have much problem in deciding about which journal to take for your competition. Yes, there is another question: how to build writing skills. Say writing a synopsis, research paper, writing. Yes, this is something very important, and I really like to just mention it here that that was probably one of the toughest part for any investigative investigation. The best thing for this is, in fact, this is all meant for the investigators to do, but if a candidate is interested in doing that, it is much, much better. So the best thing for this is to write yourself. Whenever you are doing any research assignment, please write down the result, write down some kind of a discussion, some kind of a introduction every day. Whatever you are doing, write down what you are doing, and then show it to some of your seniors who will correct you, or maybe your supervisor who will also correct you. Okay, in my lab, for example, all my students used to write down same thing every week in a small synopsis, in a large one, and then in a detailed one thing. That means same information is to be written in these three formats, and I meticulously used to correct them. And I'm really happy to tell you that I saw a dramatic change in the writing style. And this dramatic scene in at a later date, I'm not bothered with this. So every day you come to something which you are already doing, write it in different formats. That means you are already preparing yourself to write an abstract or a summary, a discussion, or a detailed table account. But you must get it back from here, from other person who is better than you. See, when you say that while writing your mind goes blank, it is primarily because of the lack of the idea. This kind of a thing can be filled, or rather this blank, as you said, that mind goes blank, but can be avoided by ritual. See, when you read certain things, then you will see the words, the phrases, this not coming to you. Expensive reading is the answer to that. Another question, how to execute the idea into reality? Yes. What you have to do is, once you have an idea, you keep on ruminating on the idea. That means when I say ruminating, That means you have to keep on replaying this idea again and again in your mind. Write it down. Write it down the various components which are required. What kind of components to have? What kind of components you will have to procure? What kind of components you will have to practice? Okay, so once you write down all these things, 2, 3 times every time you do it, and write down on that and white these things, and after some time when you will analyze, you will be able to see the clear picture of the whole of it in more practical manner so that you can execute your idea. When you have all the things put together, you have just those things which you are not able to do, they have been excluded, and then you are able to materialize your idea into something.
Thank you so much, sir, for taking the point and clearing the doubts of our students. And thank you so much for a wonderful presentation from the side. If Deepak sir wants to add something.
Hello, Professor Taylor, how are you? Thank you, madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. If Deepak sir wants to add something, then we can add the end the session. With this, we end our current session, and now the participants can go on a short break, and we will be joining back at 1 p.m. But please join 5 minutes before 1. Avoid any disturbances. So, thank you so much. And now we end the session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Virpini. From my side also,
My pleasure, sir, my pleasure.
for a wonderful and for giving practical tips to our young researchers. So thanks for giving your valuable time. I'm really grateful that you made a day for us by giving some of very, very practical tips to our young scholars. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.